Alright, what up guys? We got a quick video on the slip line today, so check it out. Okay, so first things first, how do we set up a slip line? Well, you take a rope, a piece of string, hand wrap, whatever you have, and you want to set it about chin level, okay? So you can set it higher for if you're working on different drills, but for the most part, you want it about chin level, okay? So, what is the point of the slip line? Well, it's to help teach you to keep your head off the center line, right? It'll be much more subtle in an actual fight, but having this object here basically going across your center line is going to force you to keep your head slightly to one side or the other, okay? So boxing's a little confusing because the words get all mixed up, right? It's called a slip line, but really we're working rolls. We can't really slip because the string's in the way. So we're working rolls, okay? So keep that in mind. Okay, so for our stance, you know, a lot of times, you know, you hear, don't get too square, or you're standing too square. But for me, I like to stand a little bit square because I like the full range of head movement it gives me, okay? You'll notice if you're on the slip line, if you're two bladed, it doesn't work. You can't be two bladed. And if you're two bladed, you're basically taking away your right hand, right? So being two bladed is actually worse than being too square, in my opinion. When you bring your right foot out just a little bit, it doesn't have to be a lot. It's really only like an inch or so. You bring your right foot out, and now you got the availability of both head positions. I got the back foot, front foot, right? You can't do that from a bladed stance, a 100% bladed stance. If you're 100% bladed like this, your only really option for head movement is dipping down or pulling back like this. And like I said earlier, you don't have a rear hand. You have to set that up. You're basically a one-handed fighter. So, you know, fighting is chaotic. You don't get to control everything in a fight. So you might end up 100% bladed, but keep in mind, if that happens, you basically want to just do what you got to do to get back out to your regular stance, okay? Okay. So you can be as square as you want. You can do this almost completely square, like peekaboo style, right? Or you can be a kind of semi-bladed, semi-square. You got to use all these stances, right? There's more than one style of boxing. There's more than one stance. No matter what anybody tells you, the best fighters in the world are able to do more than one thing, okay? So we got to get used to these different stances. Think of them as kind of positions, okay? We got to get comfortable doing a little bit of everything, right? So when you're on the slip line, you get close. So the line's basically almost touching my chin. From the hips, I dip and bring my head to the other side. So it's a combination. I got my knees slightly bent, but it's a hip hinge combined with a slight knee bend. It's a little bit of both. I'm not squatting down. I'm not doing a squat. That would make you too tired, right? I'm not doing a complete hip hinge because then my legs are too stiff. It's a little bit of both. So get used to kind of just bouncing in place like this, slight bounce. Bring your head over from side to side. What I like to do is I like to take the hand that's closer to the string and maybe pick it up a little bit. Like this, because this is where the punches are going to be coming from, okay? Imagine this is the center line. That's what this is teaching you, keeping your head off the center line, because a good boxer is going to know how to punch down his center line. That's another thing that the slip line teaches us, is how to punch down our center line. Look, straight down, straight down. Even my hooks are going to end, you know, about on that center line, my center line. Boom. Okay? Okay, so for punching down the center line, that's basically where you get the most power on your punches. They get to the target the fastest, and they're basically the most efficient, okay? So if I'm facing the camera here, I punch down my center line, right? All my punches kind of end in that same little spot here. So what one of my coaches used to have me stick my arm straight out like this. So you can get in your stance and you can kind of see all your punches kind of end right in this spot down the center line, right? Even your hooks. That's where you get the most power, and they reach the target the fastest, okay? So a good boxer is going to know how to do that, which means he's going to have fast punches. So when we do these rolls, you might want to pick your hand closest to the line up a little bit, because you can't slip every punch. It'd be great if we could, but a lot of times we're going to have to use our hands to kind of knock a punch away, or even just deter your opponent from throwing another punch, right? So boom, boom, boom. Once you're comfortable doing it standing still, you can start walking forward and backward, up and down the line, okay? Okay, so now we're gonna add some punches. So same thing, I get close to the line. As I dip under, I throw a right hand. Come back, I can throw a jab. Hand, jab. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, now we want to do some hooks. Boom. I can hit the line. I'm not going to hit the line because my camera is attached to it. But normally I would hit the string, or I want to go over it like this. Boom, boom, jab, kind of cross, right? So the cross and straight are two different punches. Look, this is a straight punch, goes straight down my center line, straight to the target. A cross goes across my opponent's jab. So this line represents his jab. So I might dip or slip and I go over it, okay? So there's a little details, like these names don't matter. They don't really matter, but that's just something to keep in mind. So we got it like this half straight, half overhand. That's our cross. Got my jab, straight, hook, cross, or overhand, right? Depending on how much I put on it, it's kind of in between, okay? Okay, so now we're going to talk about being in the pocket, right? So that's what the slip line is basically teaching you, how to fight in the pocket. It's great if you can fight on the outside and keep your opponent away at a safe distance where you can really see the punches coming and you have time to react and all that. But that's not going to be the case all the time. We're going to have to fight in the pocket. We're going to have to get squared up with our opponent and throw at medium, close range and all that. Okay, so that's basically something like this. From the camera's perspective, I might look super bladed, but from my perspective, when you're watching fights, think about it from the fighter's perspective. When I get in the pocket, we're outside circling, then we get here in the pocket, our hips are basically square to each other, right? So if I'm just standing up and down like this, straight up and down like this, he's got both shoulders, both targets pointing at my head. So the slip line is teaching you how to take your head off of this center line here. So I still have punches, boom, boom, and I can slip or roll over to the other side. Right? So I'm able to move my head, constantly kind of keeping it off of his center line, where his hips are pointing, where his punches would be going, right? Does it guarantee that I won't get hit? No, but it makes it harder for him to hit me, right? Especially if I'm moving and trying to set things up and constantly kind of keeping my head out of the way, right? So when you're in the pocket here, it's very dangerous, but we got to learn how to fight here. This is where a lot of the fight takes place, okay? You can box all that, do all that slick stuff on the outside, but the fight takes place in the pocket. So we got to know how to do this, okay? So basically, I want to try to keep my head off the center line and throw short combinations, 2s and 3s, followed by a roll, a move, or whatever. And notice this too. I'm not picking my head all the way straight back up. where I'm in line with his shoulder. When I slip a roll, I stay slightly low. I'm staying low. Boom, boom, boom. Until I get out of range, then I can get my head back up and stand in a more traditional kind of boxing stance, okay? But when I'm up close like that, I want to be more square, right? I need that full range of head movement. I need to be able to throw with both hands. And I need to be able to grapple and wrestle. If he tries to push in, I can frame, right? I need to be able to pin and wrestle. So I want that squared up position when I'm in the pocket like that, okay? So like the video, see you in the next one. Peace.